Which Texas Rangers pitcher is going to give up historic home run number 62 to Aaron Judge? I take a look at the entire active roster, break it down. Which one of these guys is going to give up a piece of history to Aaron Judge, if any? Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan since 2010, the founder and host for all 4 seasons of this Locked On Rangers podcast. Today is Monday, October 3rd, and the Rangers are 66-92. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers and subscribe on YouTube, where the best way that you can help grow the show is to comment any single thing below. Now, the Rangers just got swept on the road, their final road series against the Angels, assuring they will finish in 4th place in the American League West this year. They've got 4 games against the Yankees. They are at best, if they get at worst, I should say, if they get swept in this 4-game series, the Rangers are going to be 6 games better than they were last year, and at the very best, they're going to be 10 games better, which admittedly, I don't see a sweep coming because the Yankees are much better than the Rangers. The Rangers are just exhausted, have been pretty much shellacked for the last couple of weeks and ready for the season to end. But also, I just don't see it coming. But if they did get a sweep in this series, which would be hilarious and, ultimately be pretty nice, it would be 10 games better than last year, which, again, at the beginning of the season, as rough as it's been, I said that's kind of the goal. That is the hope, the dream. Despite all the great improvements, there was a lot to overhaul from last year's 102 loss team. This team isn't going to lose 100 games. At worst, they're going to lose 96. But they made some roster moves today. There have been more pitchers added to the roster, some guys who were not here before. Cole Reagans is placed on the 15-day IL with a left calf strain. His season is done. Tyson Miller, who was pretty much the sacrificial lamb in the Sunday game, has been optioned to Round Rock. Yerry Rodriguez, the right-hand reliever, was called up, and AJ Alexy was also recalled from Round Rock. So let's take a little bit of a look very quickly at this weekend series. It was a really rough one for the Rangers. Not a whole lot of great things coming out of it. A 4-1 loss to the Angels on Friday, but I do want to point out a really solid outing for Glenn Otto in his next to last start of the season. 91 pitches for him through 6 innings, 3 runs, a 7 strikeout outing, 1 walk. Did give up a pair of home runs. That's something to keep an eye on for later on in the episode when we predict who is going to give up that home run to Aaron Judge. But still, a really, really solid outing for Glenn Otto. He was able to throw more pitches, able to go deeper into the game against a talented lineup with some really, really good hitters. And I just want to give him huge, huge props for that. The 2 home runs that he gave up were not to Mike Trout or to Shohei Ohtani. So that's a nice little benefit for him. Both of them did have multi-hit games, but still really solid outing for him. Taylor Hearn allowed a run in relief. Not a whole lot going for the Rangers offense. Multi-hit game from Adolis Garcia, his 32nd double of the season, and a massive double off the wall for Sam Huff, number 4 for him on the season. Pretty good offensive weekend for him, but not a whole lot else worth mentioning. Just 5 hits and 1 walk for the Rangers and 16 strikeouts. Really not a great day for this offense. Saturday was, another 1-run loss. The Rangers getting perfect gamed through 6 innings. That is the technical verbiage of the word by Jose Suarez. We had a really, really solid game, but allowed a pair of hits and a home run from from Nathaniel Lowe, his 27th of the season. Marcus Semien broke up the perfect game in the top of the 7th inning. Thank the good Lord for that. Those are the only 2 hits by the Rangers in this one. They gave him a 2-1 lead because Cole Reagans had another fantastic start. 5 innings, just 1 walk. and 1 run that was earned. Didn't allow a home run in this one, but Jesus Tinoco gave up a run, as did Jonathan Hernandez. They blew the save. Matt Moore came in for a scoreless 8th inning, but it did not matter. The Rangers couldn't offer any more offense in this one and lost yet another 1-run game because of freaking course they did. And then in the Sunday game, you knew pretty early this was this was pretty much out of reach. The Rangers allowed 6 runs in the bottom of the 1st inning from Tyson Miller, but he was able to stay in this game, go 4 innings, be the sacrificial lamb for this bullpen, because the Rangers knew they had 4 games in 3 days against a really, really talented New York Yankees lineup coming into town, so they only threw him. John King, pretty solid effort to go 3 innings in this one, and Dennis Santana finished it out with 1 inning, the 8th inning. Corey Seager had his 33rd home run of the season. Dolis Garcia had a double. Just not much going on here. 7 walks by the Rangers offense. That was a really nice effort for them in just being patient at the plate, but they just could not get anything going in this one. Only 4 hits and 3 runs, 2 of those coming off the home run from Seager. Josh Young did drive in a run as well. Nathaniel Lowe reached base 3 times. His batting average is up to 302, so we'll see if he can keep that over the 300 mark by the end of the season. It is kind of slipping away from him just a little bit. It hasn't been quite as great for the last couple of weeks after that torrid, basically 3-month stretch where he was one of the hottest hitters in baseball for a long, long time. So that is something to keep an eye on. Still looking for Adolis Garcia to hit that 100 RBI mark, and Marcus Semien hit the 100-run mark. So the Rangers have Marcus Semien, who is leading the team in runs, Nathaniel Lowe, who is leading in batting average, Corey Seager, who is leading in home runs, and Adolis Garcia, who is leading in RBI. So fun little stats to keep your eyes on. But honestly, the most exciting thing for this Rangers team is getting a chance to see a piece of history. Aaron Judge is at 61 home runs. I know you know this because if you watched any sporting event, anything on ESPN, including college football, where there have been a lot of simulcasting of Aaron Judge and his home runs, which he did not do very well. I did calculate this stat, assuming that he was simulcast on college football games on ESPN from Thursday last week, 2 weeks ago, I should say, to Saturday, all of those games. He was a combined, let's see, where'd we go? I swear I had this. There's just too many. There we go. Okay, 2 for 13, 8 walks, 1 hit by pitch, 8 strikeouts, and 0 home runs. He had a slash line of 154, on base of 500, and slugged just 154. So we're not going to see any more college football games interrupted for the chase for 62, but the Rangers do have an interesting chance at a piece of history. He did not get any home runs this weekend in the series against Baltimore, even though they were throwing a lot of guys out there who had the potential to give up quite a few home runs. Jordan Lyles, the former Rangers pitcher, who gave up a crap ton of home runs last year, has given up his fair share this year, but a little bit less than last year. Didn't give up any home runs, neither did the pen or the other starters, who, quite frankly, didn't have the best stuff and just were content to work around Aaron Judge. He's been pitched very carefully because nobody wants a piece of history. But I think one of these Rangers pitchers will end up getting that piece of history. Coming up, we're going to look at which pitcher it is, the starting rotation, who is going to pitch in these games, and who is the most likely to give up number 62. But first, this episode is brought to you by Built Bar. If you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you are depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor. Are you ready? Delicious, indulgent cookie dough covered in chocolate. That's right, Built has done it again. Let me introduce you to your new favorite. The cookie dough chunk puff is a light, chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks, and of course, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. All the joys of eating cookie dough without the hassle of making it. Plus, it's healthy for you. You can run to Built.com, snag yourself a box for you or the family. It's a perfect treat. Or you can find a really good hiding place and hide it for yourself. These are just so good. You're definitely going to want to hide those for yourself. Like all Built Bars, the new cookie dough chunk puff is covered 100% real chocolate. That means they're healthy and tasty chocolate-covered cookie dough with light, fluffy texture. They are so good. And what's great about Built is all their bars are made of collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides a ton of health benefits. Eat something that tastes good and is good for you. You're going to love the new cookie dough chunk puff. Whenever you need a snack or for a workout or a late night treat, just grab a quick bite. Built is the perfect protein bar. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKEDON15 to get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKEDON15 for 15% off at Built.com. Now, the Rangers have 4 games, like I said, in the next 3 days. They have a Monday night game at 6. They have a doubleheader, which I kept getting confused which day it was, because, of course, the doubleheader's in the middle of the series on a Tuesday. Sure, why not? I thought, of course, it makes sense to have it on Monday. They don't do that, and it's not the quick doubleheader either. It's the one of these games is at noon, one of them is at night. Yeah, thank you, lockout. Thank you, MLB owners, for just deciding to delay the season. This series should have been happening opening weekend, but it didn't. So here we are, stuck at the end with a 4 games in 3 days because that's just what it is. Let's look at Judge's numbers versus the Rangers this season. He's slashing 200, 333 on base, and a slugging percentage of 200. So he doesn't have a single extra base hit against the Rangers in 3 games. The starting pitchers on Monday, we have Martin Perez, who gives up zero point 0.5 home runs per 9 innings versus Luis Severino. Judge in his career is 1 for 9 with 0 home runs off of Martin Perez. Game 1 for Tuesday is TBD for the Rangers. Jameson Taillon is going to take the mound for the Yankees. In game 2 of that series, or that doubleheader, John Gray, who gives up 1.1 homers per 9 against Garrett Cole. Judge is 0 for 1 in his career. Fun fact, Marcus Semien has a .219 career batting average against Garrett Cole, but has 3 home runs off him. Just a fun little fact for you Rangers fans or Yankees fans out there. It's also equally fun for you. And then on the finale, Glenn Otto takes the hill versus Domingo Germán. Glenn Otto has given up 1.4 home runs per 9 innings this year, including, like I just said, 2 home runs in his last start out. And Judge is 0 for 3 in his career against Glenn Otto. I should also note, speaking of guys giving up a bunch of home runs, in their last starts out, John Gray gave up 3 home runs to the Mariners in his most recent start in Seattle. So, for his career, Aaron Judge, in 24 games, he has 97 plate appearances under his belt, is slashing 294, 371, 635 with 8 home runs. 3 of those came in 2017, 2 in 18 and 19, 1 in 2021, and 0 this year. So just fun little fact, they've been going down every single year. And that is assuming that this year the 0 home run holds, which would be incredibly funny for all of this hullabaloo, all of this blustering and nonsense and fretting about the home run record, which, by the way, it's 72. It's Barry Bonds. Unless you are a direct descendant of Roger Maris, which Roger Maris Jr. gets a pass. If my dad hit a MLB career record of 61 home runs in the season, broke Babe Ruth's record, suffered a whole lot of indignities, and died way too young of cancer, and should be around to see all this. And then some other guys broke his record, and then it came out later that they did steroids. I would also be pitching a fit about clean records matter, but my dad has the real home run record. Yeah, he gets a pass. It's his dad. Like, what would you expect? If that was your dad, you would absolutely be doing the same thing. But everybody else just shut up. Just shut up. Yes, it's cool that it's the AL record. Yes, it's cool that has still stood for 61 years, and it is 61 homers. And it would have been, it would have been 61 years to the day if he did it on Saturday against the Orioles. He didn't, but it's still 61 years later, so that is kind of cool if he ends up doing it. But, it is still cool. Like, as a person who is a normal baseball person and hates the Yankees, because most people do, as you should, because they're the Yankees, like, this is still a really cool thing. This is still a phenomenal season, even if he doesn't hit a home run in these final 4 games, which, again, would be freaking hilarious. It's still a really great season that shouldn't be scoffed or mocked at. And, just because it's not the record, it shouldn't litigate your feelings about it. But still, it'll be nice for Rangers fans if you do go out there to actually see some history, whether you like the Yankees or not. It would be even funnier if he does get the record, gets 62, and then immediately bounces from the Yankees. As a non-Yankee fan and a Yankee hater, that would be the funniest thing. But there are a few Rangers who have given up some home runs, but nobody on this pitching staff has given up a home run to Aaron Judge in my research that he has found. He has also not homered in Globe Life Field, where the 4 games will be. He has 0 career home runs there in 4 games. and does not have a single extra base hit, but is hitting 286 with an on base of 333. Now, which Rangers have he homered off of? Let's look at some of those really quickly. He had one off of Colby Allard last year, a 3-run shot on September 21st. In 2019, he did 2 home runs off of Lance Lynn. 2018, these are just some fun names from the past of Rangers past. 2018, he homered off Bartolo Colon and Tony Barnett, neither of which I think are in Major League Baseball at the moment. And in 2017, he homered off of Austin Bibbins-Dirks, Nick Martinez, and Yohander Mendez. That is a real blast from the past. So nobody on here has given up a home run to Aaron Judge. None of these young relievers have given up any to him. But he's hit quite a few off of relievers this season. He is a higher homer rate off of those relievers than he does off of starting pitchers this year. Against relievers, he has a home run every 10.19 plate appearances, and against starters, he has a homer every 12.06 plate appearances. So does have more plate appearances again in general against the starters. So you got to kind of balance that with the rate versus the amount of opportunities. So I think it's really unlikely. I think we just go ahead and knock out him getting a home run against Martin Perez. Perez has been fantastic about not allowing home runs this year. That is one of the things that he has done best, that he has not done as well as he has, or in seasons past, he has not done as well as he's done. This year, he is an extreme ground ball pitcher, but for his career, in 11 seasons, he has 1 home run per 9 innings. He's done a really good job of limiting walks. He's striking out batters at a career high rate this year. Judge still does struggle with the strikeouts. They wanted to, Yankees fans wanted to give a bunch of crap to Joey Gallo for doing that, but when Aaron Judge does it, it's fine. So I don't know. Maybe just a little bit of bias there. Maybe I still have some strong feelings of protection for my son, Joey Gallo. We're going to look at what these other starting pitchers have done and a little bit at the bullpen and which of these guys I think is most likely. I'll make my official prediction of when Judge is going to hit home run number 62. But first, this word from our sponsors. Now, the Rangers, like I said, just brought up 2 new pitchers to have for these 4 games. They'll also have another chance to bring up another guy for the doubleheader. I'm not exactly sure who it's going to be, but I have some thoughts. Let's look at this bullpen and who is in it and their home runs per 9. I know this is a very stat-heavy performance, but I wanted to let you know how much effort I put into this because, again, there's not a whole lot left interesting for the Rangers this season, so this is something that I have gotten pretty juiced up about. AJ Alexy, 1.3 homers per 9, 2.3 though in AAA. Doesn't have a whole lot of appearances in the big leagues this year, but he's given up a lot of home runs in AAA. That is definitely something to keep an eye on. Joe Barlow, 1.3. Brock Burke, 0.9. Taylor Hearn, 1.0. I think that number is lower as a reliever than it was as a starter, but I would have to go and double check that. Jonathan Hernandez has not allowed a single home run this year. Not a single one. That is something to keep an eye on. I mean, I don't want to feel like it's jinx, but it kind of feels like it. I mean, he's got 27 games this year, and at 28 and a third innings, he has not allowed a single home run this year. I'm not jinxing it. I'm just saying I'm a little worried. There's a reason for that. He's got a very strong sinker and a really strong slider and changeup as well. There's a reason that it is hard to hit balls in the air and hit them very far against this man. He is a very, very effective reliever. John King, who went 3 innings on Sunday, 0.9 homers per 9. Jose Leclerc, 0.9. Matt Moore, 0.4. Yerry Rodriguez, who has gotten called up, has not pitched in the big leagues yet in his career, but this year in AAA has 1.4 homers per 9. Dennis Santana, again, extreme sinker baller, has been hit pretty hard as of late, but still not giving up a whole lot of home runs, 0.3 homers per 9 on the season. And Jesus Tinoco, who gives up 0.5 homers per 9 innings at the big leagues this year. So, not a whole lot to work with there in terms of the relievers. The Rangers have some really nasty relievers this year who have not given up a whole lot of home runs. The highest home runs per 9 of any of those relievers is, Yerry Rodriguez with 1.4, and that is just at the minor league level. It could be a little bit higher at the big league level. He was called up at the big leagues before, but did not get a chance to get into a game before he was optioned back down. He is a good bet. I don't think he is the best bet. Let's look back at the starters. Again, we have John Gray in the 3rd game of this series. who has been prone to give up quite a few home runs in general. But Aaron Judge, he's hit more of his home runs against the guys with intermediate stuff, not quite as hard, not the power pitchers. He does crush fastballs, though. That is one thing that he does very well. 35 homers against fastballs this year in just under half of the pitches he's been thrown against. Breaking balls, 21 home runs in 34% of the pitches that he has seen. And off speed stuff, he has not done very well against this year. Only 5 home runs in 16% of his pitches that he has seen so far this year. He's hitting under 200 against those breaking pitches, which again, that's why I think Martin Perez is not going to give up the home run. He has got a fantastic changeup that he uses to neutralize righties very, very effectively. He is not throwing that four-seamer hole. He's throwing a sinker, the slider, and the changeup very, very effectively, and he is not giving up home runs. And, well, I think that's going to be very tough for Aaron Judge to do that against. Now, John Gray feels like the most likely of these starters. Again, we have the TBD. My bet at this point is AJ Alexy is going to start that game. I don't have any definitive proof or anything. That is just my hunch as of this recording, which is 2:52 Central Time on Monday. So that is my thought for that game. It's going to be a bit of a bullpen game. Maybe they could call up somebody on the 40-man roster. But again, I'm not exactly sure who else they would call up that isn't here already. They're going to call up somebody, some pitcher, and the options they have, well, they're not super great, and they might end up being the ones that are there. In terms of guys who are on the 40-man, you won't have to make a move. There's Colby Allard, who has been homered off of, like I said, by Judge. There is Spencer Howard, who has given up a insane amount of home runs this year. Tyson Miller, I don't think is the option because, again, he just pitched on Sunday, got the Rangers through those innings. There's Nick Snyder, there is Drew Stottman, and Ricky Vanasco, who finished the season in Double-A. Really don't think Vanasco is an option. Maybe Nick Snyder, maybe Spencer Howard, maybe Colby Allard. It's going to be one of those three guys, I'm pretty sure. Maybe Stottman. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know a whole lot about Stottman, so that is not my guess. I would really like to see Nick Snyder of those options. But again, even Snyder has given up his fair share of home runs despite being a very, very effective power pitch with a very fast fastball. But AAA guys have been able to hit him for some homers in his career. He has not allowed a home run at the big league level, though, in just 4 2/3 innings. Not a whole lot of outings to choose from, but something to keep an eye on. Now, again, of these relievers, he's done fairly well against righties and against lefties. Judge has, I should say, this year. He has done well away from home. He has got more home runs away from home, 31, versus at home, he has just 30 there. Against righties, he's got 47 home runs in 523 plate appearances. He's got significantly fewer home runs against lefties, but in significantly fewer plate appearances as well. Just 14 homers in 162 PAs. So, again, it's hard to make a choice here. But I think it's going to be pretty early. I don't think it's going to be in this first game. The Rangers are lucky that it's Martin Perez, but he's definitely upset. It's been since Wednesday of last week was when he finally tied the record, which was cool, great for him. Also funny that it didn't happen during one of those college football cut-ins. Really funny. But I think it's going to be on Tuesday on the doubleheader, and I think it's going to happen in the first game. Now, when is it going to happen? Which time through? He has done well in the first time through the order. The second time through the order, not as much. In the middle innings, he doesn't hit as many home runs, but late and close, he is Mr. Late and Close as well, kind of like the Rangers' Adolis Garcia. So I'm having to make a choice between early on in those games and between that and late in these games. I kind of want to lean more early, but also I'm really tempted to say Jonathan Hernandez, who hasn't allowed a single home run this year. I'm not trying to jinx it. I do kind of want to see history. Even though I'd be totally fine and happy and laugh hysterically if it didn't happen at all. But there are just some really tempting choices here. I think if it does go to the night game, I could not at all rule out a lead-off home run in the second game. If it goes all the way to Glenn Otto, granted he is 0 for 3 against Otto in his career, but there's a really small sample. It's literally three. It's literally three at bats, so not exactly a very large sample size. And Hernandez has not given up a whole lot of home runs in his career. In 63 games at the major league level, that's 76 innings. He has a career home runs per nine of 0.6 innings. So again, maybe he's not the guy to pick on. Maybe it is Joe Barlow, who has had some outings where he has been really, really blown up. Maybe it is Matt Moore because he's been so effective, and it's like, all right, now it's time. Or maybe it's Yerry Rodriguez, and welcome to the big leagues. Here's Aaron Judge. your first time in a big league on a big league mound, and you have to face the guy who is trying to make history. It very easily could be him. I don't think it's Dennis Santana or any of these heavy sinker ballers. Jesus Tinoco is a very appealing option. Could definitely see him getting some run in this series, or could see the Rangers sending him down and bringing up two of those guys on the 40-man for some extra pitching help. I think any reliever who is like towards the back end of the bullpen, especially like a Jesus Tinoco or a Yerry Rodriguez, or even a John King, really could be sent down after like one outing in this series just to get some extra help up at the big league level and try and just get some arms out there, because again, there is no Dane Dunning because he is out for the year with that hip injury. So we're going to see one bullpen game, going to see three of the other four starters, and most of those guys have been fairly decent this year. And like I said, despite those two home runs that Glenn Otto allowed in his most recent start, he has been on the mend. Gray, I think, is a decent choice because again, he has given up quite a few home runs since coming back from the injury. Glad to see him back, but he is back to full strength. He has got a really, really nasty slider. He is the Rangers leader in strikeouts per nine, so I could definitely see him striking out Aaron Judge quite a few times. And yeah, that is definitely something that could happen. And Glenn Otto, it'd be really fun if Glenn Otto got all the way to face him and for a chance to keep him at 61 home runs, tied for that lead, and did not allow it. But I'm going to go ahead and make my decision. I think it happens in game one of the doubleheader, and I think it happens early on, first at bat, and I think that the pitcher is going to be AJ Alexy. Now, he has done a decent job at limiting the home runs this year at the big league level, but again, he was just lit up in AAA this year. That is one of his biggest issues this year. He's had a really, really bad problem with walks, 11.9 walks per nine this year at the big league level. The stuff has just really backed up, and it's been really, really frustrating to see. And, you know, he gave up his fair share in his career of home runs per nine at the major league level, 1.5 homers per nine in 9 games, 30 innings total. That is 5 home runs. He gave up 25 home runs in Round Rock in 96 innings this year. Last year in Frisco, he gave up 4 home runs in 50 innings. That was 0.7, so a little bit more effective there. But still, I can't shake this feeling. Sorry to AJ Alexy, or congratulations for giving up history. And I think if it gets one, that monkey's going to be off of his back, and he is going to hit quite a few, and that would be a real problem for the Rangers, who, again, they are 1-2 against the Yankees in that 3-game series, and on run differential are at an even 0 in that series. That was one of the very, very positive moments for the Rangers when they started to turn around, had a really nice month of May, and then kind of proceeded to crap the bed for the rest of the entire Major League season. But I'm really looking forward to seeing which Ranger can give it up or not give up a home run. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Thank you all so much for listening and subscribing. For your next listen, go check out Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan gives you a unique perspective on the Major Leagues past and present. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.